Good day, Bermuda. Welcome, members of the media. We are here today to discuss a critical issue that has been brought to our attention that we have been addressing and communicating with this industry for a period of months. We're here to talk about the critical role that the taxi industry plays in Bermuda, whether that be our economy, via tourism, or through transporting of individuals from A to B. We recognize that the industry has been undervalued, have been overlooked, and they have made many concerns made, correction, they have made many concerns known to government and other industry partners and stakeholders, including the FDM. So we stand here in alignment with the BTOA in particular. We have been given they have a 31-point plan that was reduced to 8 key things that they believe need to be addressed. We believe that these things that they are asking for are very reasonable. And we also want to go a step further to say that we believe that the industry, the BTOA and the taxi industry has the ability to self-regulate themselves. And as government, we would seek to do just that, allow that industry to self-regulate. And I'll pass it over to my colleague to share a little bit more about some of those concerns.
Thank you, Omar. So the Bermuda Taxi Operator Association, they're not asking for much. They have requested a centralized dispatch system. They've requested 150 temporary licenses to be given during their busiest season, which is the summer season. And they have, as Omar mentioned, presented the government with a 31-point plan. And they've revised that plan to 8 points. And they're still being ignored by the government. And as Omar mentioned, it is within the best interest of Bermuda to give them full control over this industry. They interact with the tourists that come into this island every single year. They know what they need. We are non-taxi drivers. We don't know what taxi drivers need. They are requesting an increase in seat capacity. I could only imagine that it's because they have families that want to get in a taxi versus a minivan to go to and from wherever their destinations may be. And that could be from the airport to their hotel. That could be from dockyard after they get off the cruise ship to go to Hamilton or to wherever. But they are found to have to pay more money to get 2 taxis per se, or they have to resort to other options. But from a government standpoint, if we're ignoring people that work in these industries who know what's best for their industry, we're never going to see progress. It's going to continue on a declining rate.
Yes, good afternoon. I'd like to just reinforce and reiterate the points that my colleagues have made. The fact of the matter is that tourism is our second major industry, and taxi drivers play an important role in ensuring that we have an industry that is worthy to be marketed and presented to the rest of the world. Yes, improvements must be made. And one of the problems that we have observed, especially in our communications with the Bermuda Taxi Owners Association, is the fact that there's too much government interference and intervention, rather it's through overly burdensome rules and regulations, or even allowing for intervention in the industry by government or politician-owned entities such as Hitch, which as a result hampers the market or the free flowing functioning of the market to the detriment of our taxi drivers. And that's the type of things that we need to address, because in the end, there's no reason why a political or a politician should be involved in manipulating the industry for their own benefit. Taxi drivers have had enough. All they're seeking to do is to be able to make an honest living for the benefit of their families. And we hope that overall, if we can get that fixed, it can complement a rejuvenation of our taxi industry, which is desperately needed, and also our tourism industry, which is desperately needed. And so we are here in support of the taxi operators, and our candidate, Shalleya Codrington, has articulated some of the issues and concerns that we have heard in communicating with them. And we hope and we would like to make it clear that we are supportive of the taxi owners and operators, as we are supportive of all the public service vehicles that are licensed in this island, inclusive of minibuses and others, because ultimately we want to have a growing and expanding tourism industry in which everyone can eat food and take care of their families.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
This is really out to whoever can answer this. I understand that about the end of January, there was the Bermuda Land Development Corporation. They released authorization for temporary passes. So people who wanted to pick up tours from cruise ships, they could, as long as they had this temporary pass. Are you guys aware of any opinions that the Bermuda Taxi Owners Association has regarding these passes?
So those passes are being given to regular individuals such as myself. I can go and get one of those passes myself. I do not have the knowledge that taxi drivers have regarding this island. When you get in a taxi and you have an experience with a taxi driver versus an experience with myself, it's going to be completely different. They are ambassadors for this country. I'm an ambassador for this country as well, but the knowledge and the stories that they are able to share do not compare to the knowledge and stories that I'll be able to share with them. They give their customers experiences. You're going to get in my car. It may be clean, it may be dirty. But when you get in a taxi driver's car, they make sure that you're getting in a clean vehicle.
So I understand that these passes were meant to tackle one of the biggest issues that taxi drivers have mentioned in the past, which was safety of allowing people who weren't authorized to actually just drive this car out. And these corporation that released this saw this as a mitigation towards that. Again, have any taxi owners or anybody from the taxi association you're aware of, what's their opinion regarding these?
So, yeah, great question. One of the concerns specifically of the BTOA is that they have no members of their executive on some of these boards that are making decisions. Some of such decisions are being made by just the minister without any questions asked. So they want to be able to not only dictate, but have a say, have a seat at the table, right? What I want to say is they wouldn't have the BLDC or the Bermuda Land Development Corporation wouldn't have the proper understanding of the industry to be able to determine what should or shouldn't happen.
Okay. And just so I'm clear, those are the thoughts and feelings that the Bermuda Taxi Owners Association has given regarding these passes.
Regarding the decisions being made on the passes,
Okay.
the decision-making process.
I see.
Yes.
So have they voiced any opinion about the passes themselves?
From my understanding, one of the things that they're trying to ask for is to be able to not have to do the checks and balances by people outside of the industry.
And you also have to remember that to receive a taxi license is the most rigorous and difficult process probably in the country from a regulatory perspective. It is very difficult to go ahead and pass the written test and then the driver's test. The written test is extremely, extremely difficult. And so when we speak about fairness, because we hear fairness being bandied about a lot during this election season, here is an opportunity for us to look at and see how we can apply fairness in its truest sense. Someone should not be able to just decide and wake up on the next morning because they have a private car and be able to enter into the transport industry and be able to make money and compete directly against people or versus persons like taxi drivers who have had to study diligently to hone their craft to be proper ambassadors in the country as taxi operators. So fairness is very important, and these are some of the concerns that they have expressed, that we have to have a level playing field in order for us to be in a position where the industry could grow to the benefit of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So just so I'm clear, do they approve of these passes?
They don't approve of the process in which decisions are being made. So they do not have a seat at the table from an executive point of view. That is the main gripe. Decisions are being made without real input or buy-in from the executive.
I understand.
Yes.
And just a few questions from the blog firstly, you say that taxi drivers want a seat at the table to be involved in ground level decision making. How, under an FDM government, would you make that possible?
We would seek to allow them to regulate themselves. So instead of things being signed off by TCD, instead of things being followed up by TCD, the Minister of Transport, for example, who has the final say on many decisions, they want, well, as an FDM government, we would seek to allow them to make their own decisions, with the government stepping in safety concerns and things like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The real role of government and the FDM government is to ensure that safety is paramount. That's what a regulator should be focusing on. And outside of safety, then it should be released to the operator themselves, the industry themselves, because they have the working knowledge of what's best for the industry. So as long as it doesn't apply to safety, then the FDM would just be a light touch, hands off, take that approach to government or governing the taxi industry.
Now, the FDM did not nominate enough candidates to secure or win a majority in the House this election. If some of your candidates are voted in, how would you help to advance policy changes in this area?
Well, I mean, that comes from the art of collaboration. I mean, there's a good opportunity and chance this time around where we will have a coalition government. And with a coalition government, it's going to require reasoning and consensus. And so we'll be willing to provide what we can to the table, bring it to the table. And again, if our policies make the most sense, if they're the most effective, then we're sure that we'll be able to encourage others at the table to be able to sign on and support what we're doing. Likewise, we will be in a position to do the same, because if good ideas and good policies emanate from other entities, whether it's the OBA, whether it's the Independents or the Progressive Labor Party, then the FDM, for our part, will be willing and able to fully participate and encourage and endorse that initiative.
And just lastly, I think it was Mr. Dill who mentioned the LMC. How do you assess the effectiveness of that government window, and if elected into the House, are there any reforms that you wish to take in that area?
I would say we strongly believe that those types of organizations need a little bit more scrutiny into the job that they're intended to do. I can't speak to the dockyard area in particular before it merged to the new industry when it was Redco. The intent is to encourage business. The intent is to cater to the tourists and the businesses in this area. However, these types of BLMDC, they've seemed to discourage business by introducing unnecessary regulatory fees and application processes that seem to be, they appear to be discriminatory.
I'm sorry, just one last question for Ms. Codrington, because I know this is your constituency.
Mm-hmm.
What are you hearing on the doorstep from voters
As it relates, well, so I have taxi drivers in my family, and also just in this past week, I got in a taxi and I asked the gentleman, how does he feel about what's taking place in this island and how does it impact him directly? And he voiced his concerns as he's not receiving health insurance, he doesn't get a pension from government, so he's over the age of retirement right now, and he's in a position of surviving. He's not living. He doesn't feel as if he's being supported by government or as if he's ever been supported by government. So that's what I'm hearing from taxi drivers specifically, not from the people in this constituency, but from the taxi drivers themselves.